What if I told you stupidity isn't the absence of intelligence, but the surrender of it? Not a glitch in the brain, but a virus of the mind, a parasite that doesn't kill brilliance, it hijacks it. Stupidity, the real kind, isn't loud or obvious. It wears a smile. It votes, it teaches, it shares articles. It's the force that convinces a PhD to share conspiracy theories. That drives a loving parent to refuse life-saving science. That makes the smartest person in the room repeat empty slogans like their gospel. And here's the gut punch. It's not happening to them, it's happening to us, right now, all around you, maybe even inside you. In 1961, an experiment at Yale asked ordinary volunteers to push a button, to deliver what they believed were painful, even lethal shocks to strangers. 65% obeyed, not because they were cruel, because they obeyed authority, because they stopped thinking. Stanley Milgram exposed it. Bonhoeffer predicted it. Dietrich Bonhoeffer wasn't a philosopher writing from a safe distance. He was a pastor in Nazi Germany. He watched professors, preachers, doctors, people with robes and diplomas cheer fascism from the front row. These weren't monsters. They were respected, cultured. They sent Christmas cards, and they let horror bloom under their noses. From his prison cell, Bonhoeffer wrote the words that still burn. Against stupidity, we are defenseless. That's the danger. Stupidity doesn't wear a villain's mask. It thinks it's righteous. It believes it's moral. It doesn't ask questions. It obeys. And that makes it bulletproof to truth. Stupidity with conviction is the most dangerous force on earth. This isn't about IQ. Bonhoeffer wasn't calling people dumb. He was calling them surrendered. When people stop thinking independently, when they outsource judgment to mobs, trends, or leaders, they don't become stupid because they're ignorant. They become stupid because they chose comfort over cognition. And the system is perfectly built to push us toward that choice. Why think deeply when the algorithm feeds you what you already believe? Why dig for truth when headlines scream it at you in 7 words or less? Why hold a complex opinion when outrage is easier, sexier, more viral? Social media doesn't want your curiosity, it wants your reactions. And the loudest, most confident voice, not the smartest, always wins the click. That's why Bonhoeffer's theory cuts so deep, because it's not just individual failure, it's systemic surrender. And it's still happening. Faster, louder, smarter. You think propaganda died in the radio age? It got promoted. It runs the platforms now. It's called engagement, and it's measured in how quickly it can hijack your attention with certainty, fear, and emotional sugar. Falsehood doesn't need to be true, just more emotionally satisfying than the truth, because that's what spreads. Bonhoeffer called this functional stupidity, a kind of intellectual autopilot, where people repeat phrases not because they've thought about them, but because they've heard them enough. You're not arguing with a person, you're arguing with an echo, a feed, a script. Ask yourself, how many of your beliefs are yours? How many are inherited, repeated, liked into your brain? When's the last time you deliberately challenged your own assumptions? That's the test. Not whether you're smart, but whether you're willing to stay sharp. Because here's what's worse than being wrong: being right for the wrong reasons. Bonhoeffer saw it. Entire populations moved like schools of fish, not because they were evil, but because they were synced to the current. And when that current flows fast enough, even good people drown in it. This kind of stupidity doesn't just destroy thought, it feeds tyranny. Because tyrants don't need obedient soldiers, they need obedient minds. That's why they don't suppress truth, they flood it, drown it in noise, turn your attention into a weapon against you. We are not in an age of censorship. We are in an age of distraction. You don't need to be silenced when you can be overwhelmed. Bonhoeffer was executed for resisting that current. He died for thinking clearly. And his warning was not about his time, it was about ours. He asked one brutal question, and it still cuts. Who stands fast? Who stands fast when the cost of truth is higher than the comfort of consensus? Who thinks when everyone else reacts? Who questions when even asking gets you shamed, canceled, unfollowed? Who still thinks when thinking hurts? That is the heart of this challenge. The fight isn't just out there. It's in here, in your mind. In the moment you hit share, in the moment you nod along, in the moment you stay quiet because everyone around you is shouting. Because in the silence, something ancient whispers. Maybe they're right. Maybe it's easier this way. Maybe certainty feels better than clarity. But clarity is what keeps you human. Pause here. Ask yourself this. When was the last time you said, "I don't know"? When was the last time you read something that made you uncomfortable and didn't click away? When was the last time you changed your mind without being forced to? These are not small questions. They are the difference between being awake and being on intellectual cruise control. Bonhoeffer called for costly grace, the kind of truth that hurts before it heals, the kind that demands friction, that asks you to trade comfort for clarity and certainty for humility. And the price is worth it, because thinking, real, unfiltered, uncomfortable thinking, is the last rebellion that can't be monetized. If you've made it this far, you're not average. You're not grazing in the mental pasture, you're waking up. And wakefulness isn't comfort, it's friction, it's heat, it's the burn of seeing clearly what others pretend not to. Because the truth is, intellectual strength isn't born from knowing more. It's born from enduring uncertainty without panicking. It's easy to scoff at the past, to say, "I would have never obeyed in those experiments," or "I would have seen through the propaganda." But would you? When everyone around you applauds the same idea, shares the same story, shames the same question, would you still stand? Most people aren't corrupted by power. They're paralyzed by pressure. The pressure to conform, to be liked, to stay in the warm center of the crowd. Bonhoeffer watched that pressure break society, and now it's digitized. It doesn't need jackboots, it just needs feedback loops. Your beliefs aren't formed in silence anymore. They're engineered by notifications. That's not paranoia. That's the model. That's the prophet. But here's where the war flips. Because you can become immune, not by unplugging from reality, but by reprogramming how you think in it. You start by building what psychologists call cognitive resilience. That's the ability to hold opposing ideas without melting down. The ability to delay reaction until there's reflection. The willingness to be wrong so you can be right later. This isn't flashy, it's not viral, it's often lonely, but it is powerful beyond measure. You stop judging people by how confidently they speak and start judging them by how often they admit when they're wrong. You don't measure truth by applause. You measure it by evidence. You stop asking, "Do I agree?" and start asking, "Can this stand scrutiny?" It's slow and hard and deliberate, but this is how you rebuild your mind in a system designed to steal it. The most dangerous person in the world isn't the one with the loudest opinion. It's the one who can say, "I'm not sure," and keep listening. Because here's the twist. The moment you stop questioning yourself, you've started living someone else's life. And this isn't just personal, it's cultural. If we don't reward intellectual honesty, we'll drown in intellectual obedience. We'll confuse simplicity with truth and certainty with wisdom. The great lie is that smart people can't be stupid. They absolutely can, and often are when the pressure's high and the incentives are wrong. Look around. Smart people fall for scams. Smart people join mobs. Smart people defend systems they haven't examined. Because intelligence is not immunity, it's just potential, and unused potential rots. So what's the answer? We need to build environments that reward curiosity, that slow down opinion, that break echo chambers before they break us. It starts in schools. It flows into platforms. It moves through conversations. And it ends with one choice. Will you think when it's easier not to? Bonhoeffer's voice echoes because he lived the truth with consequences. He chose thought over comfort, integrity over applause, complexity over slogans. And he paid with his life. Most of us will never face that price, but we'll face the pressure every day in quieter, more invisible ways. And that's where your stand matters. So here's the challenge. Not dramatic, not heroic, just one act of defiance. This week, take one belief you hold and try to disprove it. Search for the best arguments against it. Sit with them. Let them needle your certainty. Not because you want to lose your faith in it, but because you want to earn it back with evidence. That's how you sharpen your intellect. That's how you protect your humanity. Bonhoeffer didn't ask us to be perfect. He asked us to be awake, because a society of thinkers is hard to control, hard to divide, hard to manipulate. And when enough people wake up, systems have to change, not because of protest, but because of pressure, sustained, intelligent, unshakable pressure from minds that refuse to surrender. That's you. That's what this channel is here to cultivate. So if this hits something in you, don't just nod. Act.